students attend study groups for a lot of reasons, one of which, though, is not for credit.
Here's a group of young people in arguably one of the most competitive academic institutions in the world who are taking time out of their very busy schedule each week to come to a place just to learn.
The students pushed me. They really asked me, why do you believe what you believe? And they had a great conversation not only with me, but with their fellow students, and they challenged themselves and they challenged me as to why they believed their political thoughts, their political views, and frankly, whether they wanted to get involved in public service.
One of the unique aspects of the study groups is the fact that they're off the record. So we can be a lot more forthcoming as professionals who have worked in the field to tell the war stories and not fear that we're going to read about it in the New York Times, and everybody respects it.
At the study group, you can bring in up to, I think, 4 guests. And the nice thing about bringing in a guest is it breaks it up for the students. You can bring in someone who's a real expert on a topic.
You get a chance to expose the students to people who you really admire and whose career you really think is just amazing, and expose them to people who they otherwise would not get to meet.
A lot of the students said that it was valuable because they don't get that sort of everyday learning in their classes. They're getting the real foundation of their education, but not the practical how it works in everyday terms.
As a fellow, you get 6 liaisons, 6 students who are there as part of your team. They help publicize the study group, they help do outreach to the Harvard community and beyond, and they really become a mentoring group for you as a fellow.
The students actually have to apply to become a liaison. It's a very, very competitive process. So you have students who want to be involved with your program, and that's the beauty of it.
You have 6 ambassadors. They work with you in the classroom, and for us, after my study group every Monday, we would go out and have dinner together. We'd talk about what happened in class, and we'd also plan for the next study group the next week ahead.
3 of the 6 liaisons that I had have already asked me to write recommendations for them. And I'm in a good position to do that because I spent a lot of time with them. And I could really write an informed recommendation about people, young people who I got to know pretty well.
Our housing was tremendous. You are 10 minutes to Harvard Square, you can get on the T, and you'll be downtown in another 20 minutes.
You have a fully furnished apartment with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. You have a kitchen, a place to have dinner with people. And for us, it was great because we had 2 children nearby, one in graduate school, another in college, who could come and stay with us. We had friends and family nearby.
All 6 of the fellows live in these 2 apartment buildings right next door to each other. So it's more time we got to spend, get to know each other. It was another added perk of being a fellow.
One of the first things you get to go through is an orientation. It's about a week-long program.
You have an opportunity to bond with your fellow fellows. You get to ease into life in the Harvard community and the campus, and you get to see some students. But you also get to go to Boston. You get the opportunity to go to the JFK Library.
One of the best things about the orientation is that it really gives you a good understanding about the campus, about the school, and about the opportunities that are going to lay before you for that next semester.
Most weeks we would have a fellows lunch, and the IOP would bring in some famous or interesting professor. We had the Harvard basketball coach.
And that fellows lunch each week allowed all of us to come together, the fellows with other people involved in the program, and to spend time talking about issues, talking about things we cared about, exchanging ideas, and had a great lunch as well.
You know, I found it was pretty easy for me to strike a good balance with my fellowship and my professional responsibilities back home.
Well, I managed to be a full-time editor at a newspaper and be a full-time fellow. So it was a bit of a balance, but one of the things that Harvard provided really allowed me to do that. First of all, I had an office where I could work, and then I also was able to use to appear on television the Harvard studio, which was just a few steps from my office door. I could run down, do a hit with a network, and even take my students into that process.
It became really interesting for the students when I was doing my work in front of them. And some of the best teaching moments I had were literally on the phone, editing an ad, doing something while the students were there and being part of it. So I was working and teaching at the same time.
There's so much more to the fellowship than just the Institute of Politics. You have the opportunity as a member of the Harvard campus community to fully immerse yourself in everything that's going on campus.
One of the benefits of being a fellow is you have the opportunity to audit classes. Now, you're not going to audit a whole course load, but you can go in there, and I managed to audit 2 classes.
You didn't have to take tests, but you got to hear these amazing Harvard professors, and it might be something in an area you were interested in, but it might be something in an area you weren't. My class, a lot of us took a music class, and it was just amazing.
One of the events that I did during my time at the IOP that was most memorable was something that actually came out of the Center for Public Leadership. They organized a forum on the movie The Ides of March, and I was one of the panelists for that. So it was really interesting to share with the students what was similar and dissimilar in terms of how the movie depicted what campaigns are really like. I really enjoyed that.
I had the opportunity to chat with the Harvard Black Men's Forum. I spoke to the Harvard College Republicans. I actually even got to guest lecture at Harvard Law School.
There's a real specialness to being a fellow at Harvard.
It was an amazing experience for me, and the students are some of the most brilliant students you're ever going to encounter. The professors are brilliant. The staff of the IOP are just great. My fellow fellows were wonderful.
It was just such a nice way to get out of my everyday job in Washington and see a different perspective.
The fellowship gave me a great chance to stop and reflect on what I've done and think about what I want to do next.
It's a great opportunity to learn in one of the greatest institutions of learning in the world. It's like being able to go back to college as a fully matured adult.
If you want to get away, if you want to learn and immerse yourself in an extraordinary environment, being an Institute of Politics Fellow is the way to do it.